It's interesting. Hello, everybody. It's Brian. It's Tuesday. It is my stream for the next hour and a half. Welcome to the show. So I've been streaming now for 3 years or so. Apologies for the light behind me. But so I've been playing with OBS and streaming for a while. Streamlabs. I've done several different ways of streaming and methods of streaming, and it only occurred to me during the the discussion we had with Bronwen on Sunday. Bronwen AI, who was very helpful and enjoyed spending time with her. She's awesome, and talking about AI and setting up our own local AI for doing things with modifying data, looking at large data sets, helping data hoarders like me learn how to collate and query the data that we have, because otherwise what are we keeping that data for? It's I guess it's better than being like a hoarder, like where you see those shows where everybody's got like 30 years of newspapers they have yet to read, and they're just piling up in their house. But anyway, I had some issues with the overloading of the encoder, as has been a problem recently, and found that in OBS there is a setting for. I need to go and double check and see what my output looks like on Twitch. But so in OBS, there's an output setting for, okay, I don't look horrendous. That's great. I'm streaming at 1440p over there, and I'm streaming at 2K 1440p on YouTube as well. So great. So in the settings, there is a place in the output or on the video stream area in the settings, for those of you who are not aware, that have the base resolution and the output or scaled resolution. And usually I would put the size of my screen, which is 4K resolution, 3860 by 2160p or whatever, or 3840 by 2160. That's what it is, 6 by 9, right? Ironically enough, MacBooks have a different resolution, so if I wanted to increase the size of my canvas, it's something just out in left field. So what I would do is I would use the base canvas at 4K resolution, and then I would output or scale the resolution down to 2K or even 1080p. And it was actually causing additional work for the processor, because it has to download that big ass picture into a smaller picture, so there was additional rendering and time and what have you, and some of my renders were getting my render rates on my average time was 5 to 7 milliseconds, which was causing loss of encoding lag and causing a less than optimal stream. So I changed the base canvas to 2K, and I put the output scale resolution to 2K, and now it says, oh, resolutions match, no downscaling required. And I realized, well, that saves time and CPU and GPU that could have been used elsewhere to get rid of the lag. And so yeah, I'm hoping that fixes some of the issues I've had since I moved to the Mac, with things like the encoder getting overloaded and what have you. So yeah, that's just me nerding out and geeking out over, constant improvement, if you will, with regards to that. So, yeah, I hope you had a chance to watch that stream. I uploaded a better version, I think, on, let me, Control-Shift-T, oh no, Control-Shift-T, there we go. I uploaded a better version to Twitch. Unfortunately, it seems to be taking forever to get it available to people on Twitch. So the YouTube VOD is available online and actually premiered today. Today at about 10 a.m. So if you're interested in watching that video, and I really need to post it up to the various, I think I advertise it on YouTube or on LinkedIn, and people are like, oh, is it available? Whatever. And so let me grab that real quick here. You can watch that. Okay. You can watch that video here on YouTube. Blink. There we go. And yeah, it was good. I don't know, hour and 45 minutes worth of content. We did jump around a little bit, but I think that there's just a lot to talk about with AI, and there's just so many different ways of using it. We talked a little bit about vibe coding, which apparently is when you use an AI and you don't know what you're doing. I feel like I'm doing some of that with boot.dev, where I ask the AI for something, but I can actually read the code, which is great. And I'll go through some examples of that with the BookBot later as we go through those. But I am still of the opinion, nothing has changed because of what Bronwen had, Bronwen said a lot of great points. I agree with a lot of what she said. I think she's, I consider an expert in the field. One of the things that's always kind of concerned me about new technologies is the bad guys seem to embrace it quicker than the good guys do. And we can already see that is being done because it's a force multiplier. It's an automation tool. It helps gain leverage over your workflows. And we've seen that a lot, where the bad guys are always ahead of the game because it's almost like they know that we being the paranoid InfoSec blue team folks that spend all day, listening to thought leaders tell us about how bad things are. There's going to be I saw a lot of this back in 2010, 2011. The cloud. I think I mentioned this during the podcast and show. There was some real resistance back in the day to embrace the cloud. There was the suggestion of loss of freedom, loss of control. As I joked, there were shirts, and there are probably still shirts out there, that the cloud is, someone else's, computer. My offensive security sandbox is in China, and it was a big picture of China. And I guess where I'm kind of going with this is we are so gun shy about things that challenge our status quo that we consistently put a pessimistic mark on it. And if my wife is listening, she will laugh immediately because I am a pessimistic person by nature. But my AI has helped me quite a bit, and so I am trying to use it in a way so that I can understand it, because companies are going to embrace it whether or not we want them to or not. They don't want to be seen as an old dinosaur company. When companies embraced the cloud and all the security people were against it and didn't want to be involved with it, they lost. When IoT security and people were like, oh, don't follow. The cloud is someone else's computer. That is true, Walt. Hello. Yeah, we can talk about B-sides in a minute, but there are so many other ways to call the cloud something other than somebody else's computer. That is I don't know, that feels very FUD-like to me. It's like, oh, don't use the cloud, you don't control it, it's not your computer. There are ways to control that if you do it in the correct manner, I think. Just like with AI, maybe the on-prem version is whatever, maybe the on-prem version is the paranoid version, but maybe it's the safer version for people who don't want to just throw all their shit up into ChatGPT or Claude or some other agentic AI that is they can't trust, or they don't like the politics of the company, or don't like the shitty billionaire who runs it, or it's Microsoft, in that case, which is its own ball of shit, right? To some people. For many, the cloud is someone else's computer. For many, the someone else does a better job with those computers. That is true. And so you raise a good point there, Walt. But yeah, I just enjoyed talking with Bronwen about all that, and I fully intend on continuing to learn Python and schooling myself on AI stuff, and I hope other folks will join me, for legitimate questions. And if you have somebody that you are interested in me interviewing or having come on the show, I am more than willing to entertain that person. Don't ask me to put Sam Altman on here, though. One, because he won't come on, and two, it can't be somebody who's just shilling their AI product. So just a heads up there. But if you've got somebody like a Bronwen, or somebody who is legitimately wanting to educate people on how to use AI properly, or and is not shilling their shit, AI enabled toilet seat for their company, I'm all for them coming on the show. So let me check my email one more time here. As well as there we go. All right. So, hey Walt, how was B-Side Seattle? I heard and saw several people on B-Sky and elsewhere. I saw Tara Wheeler was there speaking. I saw several folks who said they were going to go to B-Side Seattle this year. How did it go? Did you enjoy it? Was it good? While you're typing that out, I'll go ahead and continue on here. Let me see. Tara had a good, Tara gives good talk. Haven't seen Tara in a few years. Probably not since the last, but let me see. B-Sides Seattle. If the podcast, here, that's not it. That's from last year. She actually has a YouTube. It says what to expect when you're expected to testify. That was from last year's B-Sides. I'm really going to talk to the organizers of B-Sides San Diego to see if we can't do something to record the talks that are going to occur next year. If it's something as simple as being able to record the audio and maybe overlaying it across the PowerPoint slides, to minimize. There we go. To minimize the overhead. I do know that they have very good facilities at B-Side San Diego. They actually have I want to say a production facility. They have a sound production booth kind of thing in the back of one of the main halls there, and several of the places that we used for speaking actually had cameras that were there. So I would really, really like to be able to maybe help out with that next year. So I'm going to see if I can get with the organizers and make that happen. Because I'm not going to be throwing my own stuff in the pile here, but if we can get some wireless mics or something like that, I've got a $30 lapel mic that could probably do fairly decently versus what I've got here. These Shure Labs are a little pricey for that kind of price point for a proof of concept, but I would really like to get San Diego on the map with regards to recording things and uploading them. And see what we can do with that. So, Yeah, who all was there? Let's see. Schedule besides, so we had Manoj Prasad. Okay, yeah, we had a lot of folks. Maybe I can reach out to some of these folks like I used to back in old timey days when there was conference talks going on. Biggest idea from Tara: have different passwords for home and work. Okay, I do that. That's cool. I've been doing that since, I don't know, 2017. When I started working at CrowdStrike, the first thing I thought of was I got super into Risk, right? And yeah, there we go. I got super into like Risk because I was like, oh, I'm doing the corporate security for CrowdStrike. I think it was just, it was before all the DNC stuff, way before the DNC stuff. But, I'd been listening to Risky Business, and at the time, Dmitry Operatovich was out talking about, fuzzy bears and, limp pandas and muddy chinchillas and whatever. And, I thought, well, I'm running the corporate security for this, so I need to, step it up a bit. So, I started doing things like separating my work and my personal. So, got my work box over here right now, got my personal box over here. I don't cross the beams in the way that I was doing it before. Beforehand, it would have been like, I'm, downloading shit on my work computer, I'm watching, videos on YouTube, and I'm checking my email and shit on it. And so 99% of the work that I do is different. It's the only thing I have that is of a personal nature is my Slack over on, I have the BreakSec Slack running on my work box as well. It's very helpful for passing like news and threat intelligence stuff from my personal box over to my work machine. Walt said, red teaming AI, use languages that don't have much outline content to bypass checkers. You can bypass human in the middle checks by sometimes sending the access phase yourself. One AI will take Python code and execute it on the AI. So you have an AI executing Python code on an AI. Okay. Bronwen had mentioned White Rabbit Neo as a AI for SecOps. It is a generative AI large language model designed to support DevSecOps professionals in the use cases for offensive and defensive cybersecurity, secure infrastructure design, automation, and more. I haven't installed it. It looks interesting. It is used for free. And I'm sure there's other examples out there for that. How much use it for free can you do? Uncensored open source AI for cybersecurity, #1 uncensored open source model for red and blue team AI pair programming with White Rabbit Neo provides SecOps teams expertise on IAC development. IAC. I doubt it's that. I doubt it's that. Infrastructure as code. Okay, so that makes more sense. Infrastructure as code. Development, pen testing, malware, crafting, and more. So you can get a license for White Rabbit Neo, or get a demo of something called Kendo. There was a panel on making your own laser to glitch chips. Oh, okay. You can read memory bits from an Arduino chip using a pair of lasers. How was the badge this year? What did the badge look like for B-Sides today? My concern about with all the tariffs that are going on is how much more badges are going to cost this year for conventions like Black Hat, DEF CON, just to get them shipped in. As well as any other conferences that might decide they want to source chips for badges, and so either the badges are going to get simpler, or we're going to raise ticket prices because everybody loves that badge life, right? Normal badge, no electronics. That's probably good. They did it for $500, a pair of lasers. Wow, that's pretty cool. Was it a workshop, or they just? It was a panel on making your own laser. That's interesting. So they had like multiple people who were involved with doing that. That's interesting. Unexpected journey, building diverse perspective. That's good. Okay. Defeating Windows Mac randomization, or how I learned to stop worrying and become the NSA. It's good. I don't recognize any of these people, and that's great. That's great to see. I'm sure that, it's great to see a bunch of folks who got out, and it looks like they had a lot of folks who were speaking, and it looks like a good mix of people from all types of across the information. We got a supply chain talk here. We got AppSec. We've got AI chat. That's pretty sweet. Securing RAG. Oh, pen testers are pro. See, there we go. Hey, there's a RAG talk. Awesome. Through a series of critical vulnerabilities, data poisoning, prompt injection, unauthorized data exposure, live demos demonstrate how attackers can exploit these vulnerabilities. So yeah, man, now I'm sad that I missed this, but I probably couldn't afford the airfare and the hotel to go up there. So showed photos of how they built the system. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, my guess is that if the price of tickets that went up this year didn't have anything to do, for various conferences, didn't have anything to do with the tariffs next year, because if the tariffs are still in place, you're either going to see less badges that are of a technical or like hacky nature, and you're going to have more like kind of like the normal badges for B-Side Seattle, or they're going to have to raise the price of tickets to cover the cost of the badges that are there. Or we just won't have any badges, and then other companies will step up and then have their own badges. I know at DEF CON, and I hate keeping to reference this, but it's the only big conference that I've been to in a while. Several badges existed there, so it's always security tabletop game, okay, and then build your own CA infrastructure on cheap HSMs. Very cool, okay. S-bomb landscape, yeah, a lot of good stuff there. Okay, cool. Yeah, so keep an eye out if you are in the Pacific Northwest, or maybe you just want a trip to Seattle. 2 days, $100. Oh, okay, very nice. Yeah, Seattle. It was the weekend. Oh, Saturday. Yeah, there was a Saturday tab here too. So, yeah, API Underworld Red Team hacking secrets, finding bugs and scaling your security program with SemGrep. Oh, okay. If only SemGrep was free, or maybe their free version is, they're beyond the hacker stereotype. Exploring cybersecurity careers you didn't know existed. Interesting. NIST NICE framework to explore the range of cybersecurity opportunities. Okay. Some of these are just stable talks, right? Or, yeah, 20-minute talk on exploring cybersecurity careers. ASVS 5.0 is about to launch. So any of you who use the OWASP standard the release candidate for it was launched. I saw it on the OWASP Slack that Jim Manico and them said that it's about to drop the 5.0. Early release candidate is available, and you can go into check out the page on GitHub. Let me see, there we go. And you can see all the other versions up until this. Okay, I don't know why GitHub is doing fill-in for any text box I have, but yeah, they have version 5.0 here. You can look at the mappings, the templates, the tools, and what have you. Yeah, so OWASP doesn't seem to be hurting for money. Apparently, MITRE got some, an 11-month extension on their funding from the U.S. government. But they created so there was a MITRE Foundation that was created, and I saw that. Yeah, so MITREfoundation.org, and it's interesting. That's not it. That's a different MITRE Foundation. Assholes. But there was a MITRE Foundation, and I saw something on social media. They were like, "We're creating this thing for MITRE," but there was, it was like some of the people who were involved with the MITRE Foundation did not want to announce that they were involved with the MITRE Foundation. And it was kind of interesting because people were like, oh, there should be transparency and whatever. And I felt like maybe they didn't want to put themselves out there because maybe they are concerned about blowback from certain regimes that are occurring. Damn, I wish I could find that. Let me see, what was it? MITRE Foundation. It was a LinkedIn post, I think. Yeah, there was damn, I wish I could find that article now. There was something where people were complaining that MITRE Foundation was being created to like move MITRE on to, something beyond being, suckling the teat of the United States government. And there was a handful of folks on the foundation, but they didn't want to announce themselves. And my thought was, maybe they're, it's still too early. They were concerned about putting themselves out there and being, a lightning rod like Chris Krebs ended up being, which I found interesting because I had read more about Chris Krebs, and he was actually appointed before President Biden, the previous person who was in the office, also who's the current person in the office, appointed him to head of CISA. So it was just interesting to see the hand biting themselves. Here we go. Anyway, yeah, I can't find it. If I find it, I will definitely post it up here in the chat. But that sucks. I don't know why I can't find anything on the MITRE Foundation. Let me go to Bing and see if I can get something different. Nope. 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 Yeah, I don't know. If anybody can find it, post it up on the chat and we'll talk about it. But yeah, obviously this one is not the correct one. The MITRE Foundation. They must get that a lot. They must get a lot of traffic from it being spelled how the U.S. would spell it. Let me see. Organization, federally funded, national security, COVID-19, current trustees, partnerships, challenges. Oh, okay. But anyway, so there has been dismiss that shit. New Socvel quiz came out, which I haven't had a chance to try yet. Zscaler Threat Labs detailed Mustang Panda attacks using DLL sideloading. Explain DLL sideloading to a child. So it's not SQL. Trusted turns traitor or riding a no-op sled. No-op sleds are hilarious. I think it's trusted turns traitor. Yep. And then, so we have from Zscaler's blog, Latest Mustang Panda Arsenal Tone Shell and Star Proxy. Tone Shell backdoor used by Mustang Panda, updated with changes to its fake TLS command and control C2 communication protocol, as well as the methods for creating and storing client identifiers. Threat Labs discovered new lateral movement tool used by Mustang Panda we've named Star Proxy. Ooh. Leverages the fake TLS protocol to proxy traffic and facilitate traffic attacker comms. They employ DLL sideloading techniques, typically bundling malicious tools inside a RAR archive. Ugh. Okay, so RAR should never be used in corporate environment. Matter of fact, it should be blocked, I think. I don't see any reason for it. Don't use RAR at all. Zero. You can block it as an attachment in an email. Nobody should be sending RAR files. I'm going to say that. I'm just going to say that out loud. RAR is not, there are so many better options out there. You should not be using RAR files in your organization. Now, if you're red team, there's certain leeways, I'm sure, for that. If but yeah, shouldn't be using RAR, WinRAR, none of that shit. Most OSs now have some kind of compression capability. If it's Linux, you can use tar. Windows has a zip function. Mac has a zip function. You can use 7-zip if you want to. Just don't use the RAR function inside of it. Okay, they have a zip version for the Tone Shell variant, which there you go. I mean, so if you look for RAR files and you're blocking those and you're not allowing those to occur, 2 of these 3 variants go away. You've reduced your risk potentially by as much as 66%. Of course, they could just create a better zip file or what have you. Anybody passing around exe files probably block all those. You shouldn't be passing around exe files either. So somebody had mentioned on Reddit, they're like, oh, they think Crush FTP was being underreported. And raise your hand if you use Crush FTP, because I don't. And I'd never heard of it until that vulnerability popped up. Apparently, it's very popular for people that don't actually know how to configure OpenSSH or what have you. And they found at least 20,000 instances on Shodan exposed to the internet. And my thought was that, okay, all right. My thought was that OpenSSH with something like a deny host or fail to ban is, I wouldn't say a far superior product, but the fact that the Crush FTP or anything is directly accessible by the internet is still something we have to deal with in 2025. And it's unfortunate. Anyway, let's head back to our regularly scheduled bit already in progress. Okay, let me shrink down the... By the way, if you're lurking, it's okay. Would love to have you on the stream, but if you want to say hello, that's cool too. Or you can just chill out and watch me answer some questions about information security stuff. Let's see. All right, next. A trial started in Munich for members of which mafia involved in romance scams. Interesting. Munich. I have some coworkers that live in Germany and in Munich specifically, and they call it Munich. So I'm going to attempt to use their stuff, as they say. I'm not going to use this one because I don't believe it's this one. Black Axe doesn't appeal to me. These two, this one would be awful. I'm not a fan of using that one. Cyber Wafa, that one sounds interesting to me. So, okay, so it is the Black Axe. Okay. Romance scams, huh? Oh, suspected members of Nigerian mafia sit. Oh, Nigerian mafia. Okay, so that would have. That was. Did it say Nigeria? Okay, it just said. Okay, members of which mafia? Okay, so Black Axe. Oh, they hid their faces. That's a shame. Why'd they hide their faces? Don't they want their mamas to know that they're on TV and stuff? The trial started in Munich on Monday. 12 members of the Nigerian mafia accused of love scamming individuals into paying them money by feigning a romantic relationship to gain trust. Aged between 33 and 54. Wow. Have been charged with forming a criminal organization, with proceedings at Munich regional courts said to be the first large trial targeting the Black Axe confraternity. Confraternity. That's an interesting word. Confraternity. A brotherhood, especially with charitable or religious purpose. Oh, well, I don't think they have charitable or religious purposes, so maybe they could just call them brotherhood. Yeah. Among the defendants is a man believed to be the head of the German offshoot of the mafia style. They franchised. German offshoot of the mafia-style gang known to be involved in money laundering and trafficking of human trafficking of women. For sexual exploitation in Europe. One woman was said to have paid, $250,000 US or 235,000 euro. Shit. Almost all defendants remained silent as the trial began, with one rejecting the accusations, according to his lawyer. Bavarian investigators conducted raids on Black Axe confraternity in April, cracked down on the group nationwide. Okay, they say 30,000 members globally. Holy crap. That is crazy. So there's 30, I can't imagine, wow. That makes a lot of money then, I guess. That's probably a pyramid scheme or something like that, right? Three-digit figure is so at least over 100 people are active in Germany, or the Bavarian state, with activities believed to be focused on southern German state. Okay. Wow, that's nuts. It's going to take them 8 months to get, or 8 months almost to get a verdict, possibly expected. So it may drag on for even longer than that. Wow, so they started in the 1960s and 70s from university fraternities. Okay, that would explain the confraternity thing that they were talking about. How do you go from being a frat boy to being in a mafia style gang? That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, next. Which country accused the NSA of activating pre-installed backdoors in Windows? Well, it's kind of, for three of these, it's like the pot calling the kettle black, right? Russia, China, DPRK. Maybe that's the hint. It's like maybe Japan is accusing the NSA of activating pre-installed backdoors in Windows. No, China. Okay, well, that's definitely the pot calling the kettle black there. They China accused the U.S. of launching advanced cyber attacks. Names alleged NSA agents. Okay. Oh no, we got hacked by the U.S. Okay. Wow. Launching advanced cyber attacks during the Asian Winter Games in February, targeting essential industries. Okay. They were identified by Xinhua as Catherine A. Robertson, Robert J. Snelling, Stephen W. Johnson. 3 were also found to have repeatedly carried out cyber attacks on China's critical infrastructure and participate in cyber attacks on Huawei and other enterprises. How did they find these 3 people's names? Did they leave something in the code? Did they just pick 3 people at random who work at the NSA? Interesting. Maybe their OPSEC wasn't very good and they were not on the VPN and they were at home working from home or something. I don't understand. Or maybe they are at the Chinese or the U.S. Embassy in China. Maybe. We urge the U.S. to take a responsible attitude towards the issue of cybersecurity and stop unprovoked smears and attacks on China. You know, I mean, I really can't say much about either country at this point. We're both just kind of, you know, dinners for morons at this point. I think there's no winners here. So, all right. Well, let me put that in the chat. Hello, Legendia Ban. Okay. There we go. How you doing? Hope you enjoy. We're doing a little threat intelligence quiz here, so you can come and join me. I'm not doing too well right now. Started out pretty crappily. Unit 42 covered a campaign by the DPRK, or North Korea in this case. Threat actors using fake coding challenges. How does the TA execute their Python payload? Oh, okay. Okay, so simple eval, exec, or YAML deserialization. I don't know. That's an interesting question. It doesn't feel like exec. Eval, simple eval. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of letters here, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that one. Ah, there we go. So according to Unit 42, slow Pisces. Good. I'm glad you're doing well, Legend. Just you know, doing what I can here to help out and you know, learn things. Well, hey, Slyborg, 15 minutes. Wow, thank you to Slyborg. Wow. Give a shout out to Slyborg. Paste. One of these days I'll figure out why right click and copy paste doesn't work, but yeah. Welcome. Thank you Shy Hat and Slyborg and everybody. So yeah, giving a shout out. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming in and hanging out with me. Feel free to check out our chat. We have a YouTube channel for, we just did a discussion with Bronwen AI from Black Hills InfoSec on AI. So you can go check out about 500 hours or better of YouTube videos on our stream there. From our stream here, we're simulcasting them actually on YouTube and on Twitch. So yeah, Slow Pisces targets developers with coding challenges and introduces new customized Python malware. Oh, okay. Slow Pisces, aka Jade Sheet, Trader, Puchong, yeah. North Korean state-sponsored threat group. Are there any North Korean threat groups not state-sponsored? So just, you know, maybe they have a local meetup in Pyongyang, and you know they're working outside the government in North Korea. I don't know if that's even possible, but it just seems like, you know, is there any North Korean threat group that is not sponsored by the government, you know, of North Korea in this case? They're focused on generating revenue for the DPRK regime. You know, they should start up like a Bitcoin or something. Apparently those crypto coins are really popular with government entities right now. Maybe Kim Jong-un coin or something like that. You know, maybe they could create something like that. Typically by targeting large organizations in the cryptocurrency sector. This article analyzes their campaign, that we believe is connected to recent cryptocurrency heists. In this campaign, Slow Pisces engaged with cryptocurrency developers on LinkedIn. Wow. Posing as potential employees and sending malware designed as coding challenges. Oh my God. Okay. These challenges require developers to run a compromised project infecting their systems using malware we have named RN Loader and RN Stealer. Okay, so if you're a developer, you should know how code works, at least in my thoughts here. You take a coding challenge, and instead of seeing what it does, you just run it. It's like Security 10, not even Security 101, it's like Security 99 or something like that. You don't run code on your machine without at least looking to see what the shit does. My wonder is, how many of these cryptocurrency developers are actually developers? Maybe they wanted to be developers. Maybe they're vibe coders that, just coding up shit with AI, as we mentioned earlier about vibe coding. They achieve this with various methods: fake trading apps, malware distributed as Node Package Manager, or via Node Package Manager, and supply chain compromise. Okay. But they got $1 billion. The group stole $1 billion US in the cryptocurrency sector in 2023. So that's what, like 10 Bitcoin right now? No, I'm just kidding. And it really depends on the crypto that they're stealing, right? Or maybe they're not even stealing crypto. In 2024, the FBI attributed $300 million theft from a Japanese-based cryptocurrency company to slow Pisces. Oh, okay, so it's not just US folks that are getting hit by this either, so that's kind of cool. More recently, the group made headlines for its alleged involvement in the theft of $1.5 billion from a Dubai cryptocurrency exchange. Yeah, I don't know why people use cryptocurrency exchanges. They just seem holy, and I don't mean, religious. I don't understand. I just don't understand. They provided the following statement in response: GitHub, LinkedIn removed these malicious accounts for violating our respective terms of service. Well, that's small comfort for the folks that may have lost, several $100 million in crypto. Across our products, we use automated technology combined with teams of investigation experts and member reporting to combat bad actors and enforce terms of service. We continue to evolve and improve our process. So, not our problem. Worked as expected. We're constantly updating our processes. We care about, so this is we care about your security and privacy, but you effed yourselves by installing this malware and doing it yourself. With all due respect. With all due respect. Interesting. I don't know if I posted that up yet on the chat, but I will definitely repost it just in case. Let me double check and see. Oh yeah, I put that one in there. Okay, cool. Yeah, welcome Slyborg and Shy Hat and everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming in and hanging out for an hour or so here. I hadn't planned on this taking as long as it has, but Risky Business. Oh, Risky Business. Well. And back in my day, it was just a podcast. Now it's a news service, and there's a bunch of shit. I haven't listened to Patrick in a while. I probably should. I would probably score better on these quizzes if I had, read through some of these first. But I'm just, guessing. I haven't actually read any of these yet. Risky Business warned about what Chinese threat actors abusing what feature to avoid detection. So Windows Recall, Sandbox, Run DLL32, or MSHTA. MSHTA. It is a signed Microsoft binary. MSHTA can also be used to bypass application whitelisting defenses and browser security settings. Lol bins, of course. Right. Okay, so in this case, I'm thinking it might be MSHTA, but I'm also thinking it might be Windows Recall. What's everybody's thought on Windows Recall? I mean, are you being asked to roll it out in your organizations? Are you optimistic about using it? Is it I don't have it on my MacBook for my work computer, but I could see. It feels like an operating system Control Z, like undoing a mistake, or Mega 13, if you will. I'm going to put Windows Recall on because I think that's kind of a novel way of avoiding detection. Nope, Windows Sandbox. Okay. All right, Risky Business. Okay. Chinese cyber espionage group called Mirror Face. Okay, Earth Kasha APT10, abusing the sandbox virtual environment to hide the execution of its malware on infected systems. Well, that makes sense. As the name hints, the feature allows users to start an isolated sandbox where they can temporarily test and install apps, then shut down the virtual environment without impacting the OS and their data. Basically works like a VM or a virtual machine, but it doesn't have all the bulky features of a VM. So it's like, it almost feels like a container or something like that, or a shroot, shrooted environment where you can... If you ever, I will give a shout out. I was listening to Patrick Gray and Adam Boileau for years. I only stopped in the last few years because I was listening to them when I take my walks, and then it would be like all I do is do security stuff, and I got burnt out on it, so I stopped listening to security podcasts, started listening to audiobooks and such. But they are excellent if you want to stay abreast of the news that's going on. Catalin Campanu is pretty good too. He also does a little bit of he runs their news editor for the Risky Business News Network, I think, and you get CPEs for them. So if you have a certification that requires CPEs or continuing education units, or like your CISP if you have them, an hour of podcast is one CPE. So, and technically, if you watch an hour of this, you could put that down as a CPE as well. ISC squared will take them in certain cases if you give them the proof that you watched it, or give it a quick rundown of what was going on there. So anyway, next. What features coming out to Android devices that can make it more difficult for law enforcement to access the devices? Interesting. I think I saw something in my change log for Android. I have a Pixel 9 Pro, and I think I just saw something in the system settings that talked about auto reboot. Let me check out new features on your device. Scam detection, Pixel Studio, another Pixel's camera. You can use another Pixel's camera, connect to another Pixel to access his camera. Ooh, okay, not sure I like that. Customization tools. Where's the change log on this thing? Interesting. I think it's the auto reboot thing. Yes. They'll reboot after 3 days for security. Wink. Google's mobile operating system Android will now automatically reboot if the phone is locked for 3 days in a row. Tech giant pushed updates to Google Play services. Core part of Android provides functionalities for apps on the operating system itself, listed under security and privacy. New feature that says will automatically restart. Okay, listed under security and privacy. Okay. Check for updates. You have security recommend. Yeah, okay. Dismiss. Check for system updates. Review apps with background access. Okay. Where's the, watch manager. Okay, great. So what did it say? Find my device, fingerprint unlock, theft protection. Lock device screen if theft is detected. Okay. For a phone is switched on and unlocked, data stored within its fully encrypted and harder to access without passcode. This is known as before first unlock state. Okay. Once unlocked, on the other hand, some data gets decrypted and can potentially be accessed by brute forcing the passcode and taking advantage of security flaws. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, if you've got an Android, I don't know if it's all Androids or if it's probably definitely on the Pixel since it came directly from the Googles. If you haven't unlocked your phone in 3 days, it will automatically reboot for you. Which I can definitely see law enforcement having issues with that, especially if they're holding a phone and charging it, but not interacting with it because of evidentiary bits, but they want to keep it running, so they're going to have to, keep going to the screen and moving it so that it doesn't lock, or they'll have to keep, breaking it with, what's that software they use? Cellbrite or something like that if they don't already have that. Canada's Center for Cybersecurity warned about the Chinese actors targeting edge network devices with what exposed? Come on. Okay, IP addresses, whatever, SSLs, no, probably management protocols. Of course. I mean, it's a day of the week ending in day where somebody's not banging on an F5 or a Cisco box that has the management interface exposed to the internet, because companies still haven't figured that shit out in 2025 and probably won't ever, because they don't think it will happen to them. So Salt Typhoon, Salt Typhoon, which affected telecommunications organizations like T-Mobile a few years back. I know some people who had to deal with that directly because they worked at certain telecoms here in the United States. Cyber centers observed increasing levels of the PRC's threat actor activity, including activity associated with Salt Typhoon targeting network edge routers across critical infrastructure sectors. This publication takes effect as of a week ago, so you're a little late if you live in Canada and your F5s are exposed to the internet and you put your management interface on the network to the internet. If your company does that and you have insurance, how do you expect your insurance to pay out for something that is a known stupid thing to do? Exposed services, yes, device exposing services will easily and rapidly be detected through adversarial actors through mass scan campaigns and targeted reconnaissance. Yes, stop doing that. Poor configurations. Cyber centers observed weak cryptography or default security settings configured and not updated that has led to exploitation of devices. Yes, the only thing worse than having your management interface exposed is having your default password still being on the management system. And I think this is where maybe those edge device manufacturers are, I don't want to say complicit, but they need to change the workflows. Maybe they've already done that, I don't know, but it feels like if they still have default security settings, during initial setup, there needs to be some kind of, yeah, you can't put this on the internet. And I think we've talked about this at length before, but it's like, you know, by default, you can't put that on the internet. You cannot do that. And to do so would require you to go in, modify a lot of shit inside the device. Maybe it sends alerts back to the management organization. You get warnings like, are you sure you want to do this? This is really bad. You shouldn't do this. Are you absolutely positively sure you want to expose your interface to your management console to the internet? Yes or no? And then it would be like, okay, and then we're going to send something to F5, or we're going to send something to Blue Coat. You know, we're going to send you regular emails saying, hey, you're stupid for putting this exposed to the internet. You're opening yourselves up to risk. Eventually, you'll either get hacked, or you'll get so annoyed by the emails and the spam and the stuff from your F5 or your account managers at F5 that you'll, you know, change it back, or you'll tell management why it's a dumb idea to have this like this and change it, or you'll talk to the IT folks and go, look, you can get the spam from F5 telling you why it's a bad idea to have your management interfaces exposed. You know, constant training, right? Constant training. And I know you'll block it with spam blocker, or you'll send it to your deleted items with a rule or something, but due diligence, right? And F5 and them shouldn't have to, you know, deal with the fallout from that, because companies won't configure things properly. Anyway, by the way, if you're from Canada, elbows up. Keep your elbows up, y'all. You know, keep fighting the good fight against us dumbasses south of you. Canada's asshole is the United States. Huge, huge asshole. Next. CVE is dead. Long live CVE. What does CVE stand for? It is critical vulnerabilities and exposures, critical vulnerabilities and exploits, common vulnerabilities and exposure, common vulnerabilities and exploits. Hey, Digital Warhead, how you doing? Did you get to B-Side Seattle as well, Digital? Walt was on earlier, may still be on, I don't know, but B-Side Seattle, good times I hear. A lot of great talks there. So a lot of people don't know what CVE is, and when looking at these, it all kind of makes sense. So MITRE is the one that has, CVEs, and they manage the primary list of that, the overarching list for those things. And with all the fallout from MITRE, there's what they call CNAs as well, which are companies that are allowed to put out CVEs for their own products, or failing that, they will put them out for others. So let's say it's a Linux library issue. If MITRE, if you don't want to go to MITRE and get a CVE for that, which like CVE 2025 or what have you, you can go to you can go to like Red Hat, or you can go to another Linux controlled CNA who will also hook you up that one. Oh, Digital Warhead says, yep, had a great time, 2-day event, some great talks. OG CSEC folks. Oh, cool. Walter, yeah, Sundar, yeah, Jordy, cool. Sundar's great people. Krishnamurthy gives great talk. A common fixture in the Seattle InfoSec scene. Walter, good to know. Y'all got together with Walter. All right, so I think it's common vulnerabilities and exposures. Yes. Of course, then they said, here's the story about MITRE getting their contract extended by CISA in the 11th minute, last minute, 11-month contract. CISA has extended its contract for the MITRE-operated CVE program, relied upon by security professionals around the world. The program came into doubt when a leaked letter from the head of the organization, Yosri Barzoum, warned the contract pathway for nonprofit to run the program was set to lapse in 24 hours. I think they knew already. I'm not sure why Yosri decided to send that. Maybe it was like all efforts have failed, here comes the comet, the nuclear weapons failed to blow it up in space, so we're just waiting for imminent doom. There was a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth from people. I was still waiting to figure out if there was going to be any fallout from that. If there was, what would happen if we lost MITRE? What is it that we get from them other than, and it feels like the life of Brian, where they're like, what did the Romans ever do for us? And we're like, well, they gave us clean water, and they gave us roads, and they gave us education, and they gave us this, and they gave us that. And they're like, okay, putting all of that aside, the roads and the clean, water and the roads and the food and the education, all that, what have the Romans done for us? They do a lot of stuff. They, the attack matrix, the embed matrix for IoT security, CVE master list, the main profile for that. They run that program. They do a lot of different programs. My problem is, and it's what I say about consultancies, if the majority of your funding comes from one customer, you, for all intents and purposes, are owned by that customer. And it feels like MITRE needs to divest itself from the US government teat and move on to something else. OWASP has a foundation that they use for nonprofit work, for charity work. Mozilla Foundation used to be independent until they started taking 60% of their money from Google to be able to, use Google in their browser for searches. They need to divest themselves from one core money source. And I don't want to say open source it, but there's got to be ways to set yourselves up as a nonprofit for education or what have you to remove that influence from, if loss of one contract is going to throw that much turmoil, they need to do a better job of organizing themselves. And I guess they don't mention how much money CISA is actually giving them. But I would imagine that there was a lot of conversations going on in our government about efficiency and whether or not they're a good use of money. They also do the CWE program, Common Weakness Enumerations, which are supposed to be ways to developerify vulnerabilities. So instead of cross-site scripting, they call it input validation, because that's supposedly what developers know. I found that sometimes they don't know either, and so, or how to solve for either in this case. And then they had another Defend, which was another framework on how you can, shill your products based on like the reverse of the attack matrix. So attack and defend, and then they have embed, and they have a couple other ones. So even with that, they said, according to reports, it's likely CISA may be looking at a reduction of its workforce. I think Bob Lord just advertised on LinkedIn that he was leaving CISA as well. So there's still a lot of shakeups going on at CISA that haven't completely finished themselves yet. So CISA is also, comprehensive review of its activities over the last 6 years. I'm not even going to click on that because that's bullshit, probably. And then, the probe from Chris Krebs. That one is just stand by for more bullshitry. Sophos released their annual threat report. What was the point of compromise for 25% of the cases? Annual threat report. What was the point of compromise for 25% of the cases? Oh, obviously, network edge devices seem to be very popular for ownage. 25%, you know what, that almost, I can't imagine 25% of the cases were staff laptops. I could see unpatched servers, especially if they were exposed to the internet, like that Crush FTP garbage that everybody's using. Public Wi-Fi, no, I'm actually thinking one of these two, either the edge device or the patched servers. I'm going to go with the network edge devices. Ding, 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 ding. All right. There we go. Digital, I wish I could have come up to B-Side Seattle. Maybe next year I will talk to my boss about having our on-site in Seattle. And then it'd be like we do a Monday through Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday we would all go to B-Side Seattle as a group. Maybe we can swing that next year. The problem is it's Easter, right? And a lot of people, 3 of my 5 team are out this week post-Easter, and I think there was a bunch of folks out before Easter. So it's, things have to line up so that we're not, going out during Easter. But Sean Gallagher, okay. Let's see, small businesses are prime target. As we highlighted in our last annual report, many of the threats we covered in the report remain a major menace in 2024, so not much has changed, is what I'm reading there, including ransomware, which remains a primary existential cyber threat to small and mid-sized organizations. Ransomware accounts for 70% of the Sophos IR cases, incident response. We're actually maybe an on-site. My boss is trying to figure out where our next on-site is going to be. It could be in Bellevue or it could be in New York City. I'm good with either place. Bellevue is a bit, less friendly, I think, in that respect. But New York City, is New York City. Ted's been talking about reviving InfoSec Campout. He better, by God. I sold him the domain. I would love for that. I was actually wearing my my first InfoSec Campout t-shirt, which I still have. It's going on about 6 years old now, but I still had it. I was wearing it last night, or on Sunday night for our interview with Bronwen. Let me see, compromised edge network devices. There we go. Firewalls, VPN appliances, and other access devices account for a quarter of the initial compromises of businesses in cases that can be confirmed from telemetry and is likely much higher. Those are just the ones that are reporting with telemetry. But as we saw in earlier questions, you're running in default configs, you're, setting up your, default configs, not setting, allowing management interfaces to the internet. Doesn't take much for a nice fat CVSS 10 to come in and ruin your weekend. Software as a service platforms, were widely adopted by orgs during the pandemic to support remote work and improve overall security posture, continue to be abused in new ways for social engineering, initial compromise, and malware development. BEC, business email compromise activity, is a growing proportion of the overall initial compromises in cybersecurity. So you're getting phished, or which allows leveraging of malware delivery, credential theft, social engineering for criminal purposes. One of the drivers is the phishing of credentials and adversary in the middle multi-factor authentication token capture. Okay. Well, so there's a whole document here you can use to help convince your small or medium business management that you need to, hook up all the good things against, your edge routers, your edge devices, including top published vulnerabilities: ConnectWise, Screen Connect Auth Bypass, Citrix, NetScaler, Buffer Overflow vulnerabilities, Palo Alto, VMware ESXi, Veeam deserialization, Remote Code Exec, Fortinet, JetBrains, Fortinet again, and Microsoft Exchange Server. So this one you shouldn't have. 2021, if you haven't patched your Exchange Server to at least support, 4-year-old issue, maybe you should just move to Azure in this case. Yeah, if you can't patch a almost 5-year-old vulnerability, you're probably lacking. So last one. Checkpoint Research detailed Cozy Bear campaign targeting diplomats. What does Grape Loader use for persistence? So it's app shimming, path injection, scheduled tasks, or run keys. So targeting diplomats, it could app shimming. Seems like these two at the bottom would be the most likely ones, because diplomats by nature are probably pretty trusting or not tech savvy. So I would imagine the solution to own them would not be tech savvy as well. So you download anakornikova.scr and they send an email to somebody and they click on it. Does Anna Kournikova still work as an email? Anyway, scheduled task or run key. I'm going to say scheduled task. No, run key. Damn. See, I was right though. They don't have to be complicated. They just have to work, and they don't have to be complicated to work really well. And phishing campaign. That was my guess. Had to be. I don't. Oh, Cozy Bear. Why am I imagining the bear has? Yes, thank you very much. Here is your wine. That kind of thing. Wow, Checkpoint's been tracking advanced phishing campaign conducted by APT29, Russian-linked threat group, targeting diplomatic entities across Europe. Because why not? I mean, they're already on edge as it is. I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to send an email talking about how, U.S. continues to fuck up. Click here to look at this thing. And it says it's a new loader called Grape Loader, which is downloaded via a link in the phishing email. In addition, we discovered a new variant of Wine Loader, which it likely used in later stages of the campaign. So let me see. Impersonated source, so user at whatever.com, links to an impersonated website, sure. Filters, downloads a zip file, or it will redirect to a legitimate website, depending. They unzip the file, exe sideloads a dependency to DLL, Grape Loader, which is an additional bit. What does Wine Loader do? Wine Loader is a well-known modular backdoor that is part of the APT29 toolset. This is a bit of a small font for the screen here, so let me embiggenate it a little bit here. Subjects, wine event, wine taste testing event. Oh my God. Okay, for the ambassador's calendar or diplomatic dinner. Okay, wow, that's... The problem is, it may not even be the diplomat who is looking at it. It could be the personal assistant of the diplomat or somebody from, their staff who is opening these things and infecting it. It may not even be the diplomat's computer, the ambassador's thing. Anybody with an executive assistant, for the most part, some of the executive assistants are the ones reading the email and passing on and filtering what is not necessary. So it could be not the ambassador themselves, but the executive assistants or the people who are the support staff for the ambassador that are getting owned in this case. I know that at my organization and other organizations, when you get to a certain level in that group, you've got an assistant, right? And sometimes it's good to target the assistant if you want somebody to read the emails or get the agenda that you're wanting, because they're going to see it first. And if you say, hey, I need this and have eyes on this person, they'll pass that along. Little management tip, don't target the captain, target the secretary, or target the other people. It's the friendly, malicious bear who gives giant bear hugs. Yeah. I love his sunglasses, though. Those are Wayfarers, look like, from Ray-Ban, I think. Wow. I have to give props to the if that's not AI generated, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Let's see, API. Yeah, let me pop this one in here too. Gods. Impersonates a major European foreign affairs ministry to distribute fake invitations to diplomatic events, wine tasting events. Okay, so yeah, and so you're gonna hit up somebody's email. The EA is gonna be like, oh, let me go check the calendar. Oh, it goes to a link, or it goes to a file that you download that this is where you might want to explain to the executive assistant not to click on every attachment that's existing in the file. So, or it's a link to something that's a drive-by download. So hey, click here to attend this link, and it may be Eventbrite or something, Eventbrite or some kind of messed up typo squatted domain. Impersonating either the legitimate website, it's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or something else, right? Yeah. So downloads a zip file. Hey, if you want to, here's the agenda for the wine tasting event. So you go to the impersonated website. There's a link to the schedule. It's a PDF or it's a zip file. You download that, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, now you have wine.exe, and yeah. Ouch. So, all right, show results. I did good. I got 6 to 10. Woo! That's pretty good. And you can go through this again. Like I said, might be fun for a fun game or something at your stand-ups, or for your threat intelligence folks to keep an eye on. Yeah, you can share this here. There we go. But yeah. How am I doing? Am I doing all right? Am I looking good? Yes. Whatever. Back to Twitch. How do I? God, son of a bitch. Come on now. Am I looking okay? Okay, good. All right. I didn't see anybody on my stream. All right, cool. But yeah, so that was the Socvel thing for this week. I'm going through I'm learning to build my book bot, and so I did ask Boots to help out, because one of the things that they wanted to do was, so the book bot is, you're going to take a book from, appreciate that, Digital Word. So one of the things I'm learning how to do is building a book bot, and the idea is you're going to analyze books from Project Gutenberg in this case. So I have a couple of other books that I downloaded here, and you go in and save them as a text file in your oh wait, that's something else. Okay, where's my VS Code? Okay, there it is. VS Code properties. Yes. Okay, there we go. Cool. Got it up and running there. All right. So as you can see right here, I have I started, working on this and securing it. One of the things that it did in the previous iteration, sorry, I've got jets in the background here. There we go. Okay. So one of the things that I asked it was, because it said, hey, at the beginning of your main.py, import the built-in sys module. So what I had done was I had added from sys import. And because I thought it only wanted argv, so I was like, import argv. So I only did that part. And then I ran into some other issues where it was like, you need sys.exit and whatever. And so when I gave it the code with sys argv or import argv in it, it said, oh, hey, Brian, you should probably import the whole of sys into the system. And I was like, won't that cause it to be a little too weighty, like you're inviting the entirety of sys in, and it suggested, well, that's the way you should be doing things. And I was like, great, you're just throwing the whole kitchen sink in when you could just include argv and exit and only the necessary bits that are there included. Ever pull up flight radar to see what's flying overhead? I know what's flying overhead. It's a big ass jet from Miramar Air Base, but I appreciate the thought there. I didn't, I guess I could go look it up. So for those of you who've never been to San Diego, that's where I used to be stationed at North Island Air Base, right there in Coronado. Yeah, I used to be stationed there at one time. But Miramar is actually up north here. And not to get too specific, but I live in this area of Miramar, and when the flights take off from this from this runway here, it's not a mixed use. That's Marine Corps Station here in Miramar, where Top Gun came from. If you ever watched the movie Top Gun, so there are Mira Mesa Boulevard. I may or may not live around the Mira Mesa Boulevard region of this area, but when they take off, they tend to fly out and take a right, because they take a right when they fly with their steering wheels. I don't know. I don't think it works that way. But anyway, I'm in this area somewhere, so I can't imagine if I lived closer down in this area, then it would be super loud all the time. But it does. They tend to, and what they do is they try to come up the corridor here so that it's not as loud. But yeah, I live in this area of San Diego. This is Jollibee, great chicken, by the way. Bye, honey. Love you. But yeah, they like to fly a lot, so include all the things. No, I don't want to include all the things, operator. Hey, operator, how you doing? Import all the things. No, I do not want to import all the things. Gross. Yeah, no. But yeah, so they get active. They're either flying out to the desert or they're, and I could probably shut my window. That might make it a little easier. There we go. That makes it a little easier. But yeah, so anyway, going back to my discussion, yeah, I don't want to import all the things. It's gross. You know what the script does, right? Oh, well, I can go look at it. Let me see. We're going to import OS. Okay, so that imports those import subprocess. Define install imports from files. Okay, if not, path is directory path, print, this path is not a valid directory, and then return that. So it looks like it imports every file root or every file directory in your OS, walking every file through. Ew. That's not good. That's not good. Yeah, for root, dirs, and files in OS walk path for file and files if file ends in py. So any Python files, open path join root file r. And yeah, read all the Python files into, install modules, pip install module. Yeah, so yeah, that's a lot of nesting there, but it looks like it takes every file in your computer and walks through them. For file and files, so that's a if file ends with py, right? Open, yeah. So open. I'm still a little fuzzy on all these things because we didn't do a lot of importation. Matter of fact, this is one of the first exercises you do where you're importing modules, because one of the things boot.dev is like, yeah, we're not just going to teach you to import world plus dog and then go for it. It's supposed to automatically fix import dependencies. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so installing modules. Okay. All right, so it's like a cleanup process if pip doesn't work properly. Exception. Oh yeah, try and accept. There. Yeah. Okay. Failed to install module error. Okay. Some of the things that boot.dev was not a fan of glossing over was like the try exceptions or importation of stuff. So they tried to teach you how to do everything without having to import a package or a module, which I wish they'd gone a bit more through the try and accept stuff. And to be fair, I'll probably need to go through the Python module again, just kind of reiterate through that. Wow, import all the things. Never managed to figure out how to do it the right way in the IDE. Say what now? Never managed to figure out how to do it the right way in the IDE. Oh, okay. So yeah, ideally what we're doing is we're analyzing the books and we're taking the input, in this case argv, from our command line, and so when I run it in the system here, so when Python main.py runs and it is a path to a book, in this case I've got, let me see, I've got Frankenstein.txt, I've got, what was the other ones? Stop that shit. There we go. Download Moby Dick and Pride and Prejudice.texts, put them in the book directory. The previous iteration was set up a git ignore to not upload those books to your GitHub. And so the idea is now we're going to take them as an input to the command line instead of hard coding those into the system. Let me see, I removed the hard-coded bits from my code. At the beginning of main.py, import the sys module, which I did that. If sys argv doesn't have two entries, right? Use the second argument in sys argv as path to the book file, which we just did because I added that up here. So it asks if the length of sys argv is less than or greater than 2, or is less than 2, sorry, print usage this. So if you don't have all the arguments in place, then you need to specify the right syntax, and then you're going to exit with error code of 1. Otherwise, which I don't think I finished up doing when I was going through this. Yeah, file path argv1. So we set the file path to whatever the argument for the first argument is. So in this case, main.py would be the argument, would be what you're running, and then the first argument would be this one. which is odd because you would think that it would be argv0, but yeah, argv0 is probably main.py. Okay, so yeah, I asked it, I was like, is there any other better way to import sysargv? The assignment didn't suggest needing to import exits, so I just import all of sys, and it said, yeah, you're right. Assignment specifically asks you to import the built-in sys module rather than importing specific functions from it. Which I did that. So, but I did ask, I was like, doesn't it create a potential for a more weighty app? And they were like, oh no, the performance difference is negligible for a few reasons. Python imports modules only once during execution, regardless of whether you import the whole module or specific components. The sys module is already loaded into memory when Python starts up, since it's essential for the interpreter. So it's already in there. You're just making sure that it can call that. For built-in modules written in C like sys, there's virtually no overhead when importing the entire module versus specific functions. Arrays and dictionaries and tuples. So there was the arrays, the lists, the dictionaries, and the tuples, and there was all of those things, operator. And I was like, Python just made shit too complicated, right? Did you really need to have a dictionary? Did you really need to have tuples, lists, and those? And I'm like, I'm sure there's reasons to have all of those, but does the developer actually use all of those, or instead just say, well, I want a list, but I'll sort it myself, or I'll make it immutable myself, or I'll, for large third-party packages with many dependencies, selective imports can indeed save memory and loading time, but for small built modules like sys, the practice is more about code style than performance. Memory. People don't memory anymore. Everyone codes in like Electron blobs of like Chrome with 300 megs of libs. Yeah, that's what I don't like. If you can go into a Python and you see like more imports than actual code, it's like, what are you actually doing? You might as well just find something on GitHub and do it, have it do it for you. All right, so the only thing I didn't do was, I think it's good. So test your program with Python, main.py, books, Frankenstein, and make sure it works as expected. All right, so oh my goodness, Fix-It. Yeah, Fix-It. Welcome, Fix-It. Shout out to Fix-It. Shout out to Fix-It. Fix-It 42. Really? Okay. Copy. I really hate that I can't hit control or fucking hell. I really hate that I can't control or Mac C Mac V in the stream chat for that. So sad truth is, by the time we figure it out, we have to be trained on vibe coding by our kids. See, I'm trying not to vibe code. That. Oh, you did fix it. What do you think about that? I spent a good amount of time trying to get it to upload the better version in my stream. Let me see, channel. Good Lord, I'm just all over the place, aren't I? Creator dashboard. That's not it, you bastard. You bastard. Yeah, I uploaded the videos for the, damn, okay. Just hot garbage all over the place. Yeah, I think it was a good time. Everybody seemed to enjoy it, so I'd love to have her on again, but I'm also more than willing to have other people on talking about AI in different capacities. Sure, we're not going to get Sam Altman. I don't want Sam Altman because, he's a billionaire, so he's, completely committed to, the culty life of whatever it is he's trying to do. All right, operator, have a good night. And so, yeah, I need to open a terminal. Let me go ahead and open a terminal here. Bookbot. There we go. And so it said, what was the last bit? Run, yeah. So I'm going to move this. All right, I don't have to. Okay, so Python 3 main.py. Oh, right. it doesn't auto-save for me, which I don't know why, but I'm auto-saving, just gonna auto-save everything just in case. I have no idea if this is gonna work or not, but we'll see. Let's see, main books, Frankenstein. Nope, see, that didn't work. Why did that not work? Why did that not work? Oh, wait, it was import sys. Import sys. There we go. Control S, there we go. Give that a shot. There we go, that worked. All right, so analyzing book found at books.frankenstein. Okay, so that worked. So my file path worked. So with the file path argsv, word count. So I added the print statements in here. Numwords, so found number of words. So there were 75,767 words total. And then the character count by alphabetic only, because there were a bunch of other special characters in the previous example, like slashes and pluses and periods and everything. So it was taking everything in as a character count as a list, right? It was just streaming in everything from that text file and you know, parsing that out in a way. By the way, it was my gaming account again. Played a bit of Idle Champs after a 10-hour cyber stream. Wow. You are a machine, Fix-It. I could not do 10 hours because at an hour and a half, I'm like climbing the walls. So Fix-It, just from a discussionary point of view, how do you do 10 hours? You know, I see these people like, you know, I kind of understand it with video games because, you know, you can do 8 hours of Morrowind or whatever the cool shit is now that people use. You just have fun? Okay. See, I think people get bored of me after a while, and it's like they don't want to watch me because, you know, I'm a little old and I don't play games, or I play games probably poorly. So if I ever tried playing games with, you know, probably somebody on the distant end who's 8 years old who has, you know, massively better reaction than I do, you know, I'd probably get owned pretty heavily. All right, so anyway, let me try the. What was it? Pride and Prejudice. Yes. Okay, so that worked. So one of the things in the CLI commands, let me go back to the browser here. I'll move this out of the way. So the use cases that they show you here is that if you did Pride and Prejudice, you know, expecting an exit code or an error code of 0, which apparently worked because there's no exit codes, but expecting standard out to contain all of, and then E is going to be 74,451, T is going to be 50,837. I appreciate that. I made a Python script that reads RSS feeds aloud. Oh, well, congratulations. And that was 10 hours of work to get a Python script that read the RSS feeds aloud. Yeah, see, without boots, I probably would have gone nuts and ended it after about 3 hours. So I applaud your patience. Oh no, just okay, random other stuff. Okay, yeah. See, I'm learning the Python stuff. All right, so in this case, the Pride and Prejudice output here had 74,451, and T is 50,837. So in this case, everything worked. The code that was written is good. And so I hit Control S. Spent 2 hours just chatting and watching Google Earth. Oh, that's a good idea too. Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. All right, so I want to game this system as much as possible. My 86-day streak is still going on. I need 6 hours and 47 minutes left before I need to do that. So I want to say there is kind of a bug to this system because I finished the last exercise, and when it said paste a link to your GitHub repo, which if you go to GitHub, if you go and look, you know, Berber Prime is mine. You know, Webflix is another one that they were using for that. So there's a number of, you know, public repos in here that I have. Some of it's for my gaming stuff, for my RP stuff. By the way, Fix-It, just you said you wanted a shout out. There you go. There's the shout out to Peerless RP. So yeah, the BookBot is the one I'm using for this. Then, you know, Campaign 2, game creation is some of the other stuff I'm using. Some of the other things I follow, like here's a Jupyter notebook for enhanced investigations for LLM. I learned about that one at B-Side San Diego. And oh, my GitHub. You can get my GitHub here. Yeah. There we go. Content creation, some of the other stuff. Ironsworn is a solo RP system for people who enjoy tabletop role-playing for Ironsworn, which is made by Modifus Games. And yeah, so there's an open source writing tool for solo playthroughs for the Ironsworn RPG. I was using Starforged, which is the science fiction version, or the science fantasy version. And then, of course, you know, Peerless Gamer, my Soloist Gamer YouTube project. Yeah, so when I, going back up here to the top, so the bug I think I found was when you add the GitHub public repo link, you ran all your checks and it applied, it said, oh, you finished this module, which actually I hadn't until just this point right here. And it gave me the credit for completing the module like 3 days ago, which you can see. Yeah, no. Oh crap, did I lose it? Oh shit. Well, that's not good. Maybe it fixed its mistake. Ooh, okay. Well, I do need to run this then because I'm missing out on 3,000 XP otherwise. So, there we go. All right, so I need to run this and paste. So this is like a test. If you do the S, that means you're submitting it. Uh-oh, I got a 1 here. Wait. Okay, so Pride and Prejudice. Okay, wait. Come on, you bastard. Expecting exit code 1, standard out. Okay, so it tested the error code right here. It tested, you know, whether or not, so you know, made sure that worked, and then ran the path to mini books. Okay, so that should work. So now before I submit this, I want to accept, I will accept a 5,000 XP bit, because the next bit we're going to do, probably not today, is object-oriented programming, which I have no idea about. So, all right, so I will go ahead and run this. Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay, what did I do wrong? Oh, shit. Okay. See? Oh no. Okay. Make sure. Okay, I still have those. Underscores. Underscores. Must have the underscores. So I ran into main.py path to book. I didn't put path to book. It still worked without it though, which I found interesting. So this should work again. I lost an armor, but son of a bitch, what happened? Expected standard out to contain all of usage. Is it single quotes? Let me go see. No, it should be. Oh, is that it? Okay, so I didn't include from sys import exit. Okay, so I'm not sure why I'm putting from sys import exit down here. It seems like it would make more sense to put it up top, but because the exit function didn't work because I didn't have it in there. So that is a thing that occurred. Best kind of program. Yes, probably is. All right. Okay, and then the good thing is once you've mucked it up, you don't have to worry about losing it again. Nope, there we go. Okay, so I got 1134 there. And okay, now you completed build a book bot in Python's course. So, okay, so, and then I can claim my 3000 XP. And I become level 49 and then some. I want to leave feedback, but I don't want to do that on the stream. My comment was I don't think it's imposter syndrome. I really don't think I get a lot of the Python stuff, which means I'm gonna have to go back through it again. Just do exit. Well, no, it wanted, so the test cases that it teaches you how to make, it was, the bot was telling me how I might approach this issue. And you can actually go to the solution files and see what it suggests here. So for the main.py, so you can look at my solution and its solution. In this case, it did not, I didn't commit those. So it's actually looking at my GitHub repo for what I had. So this is what I had before. So I was, statically looking at the Frankenstein.txt. This is the solution that it suggests for that in this case. Interesting. From stats import, get nums. Okay. Why did it not have those? Sys exit. It doesn't have the import stuff in here for the solution. Go over here. Okay, so that's mostly all correct. I swear I didn't copy this. I actually did quite a bit of this myself, but it doesn't look the same. Anyway, yeah. Cool. You have to put a window on top. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, it's that thing where I'm running out of screen space. So, all right. Well, I finished that one up. Nice level 49er right now. So, and yeah, so I'm working through all those things. Oh, couldn't see the comparison. All right, yeah, let me go back in real quick. Look at the solution files here. So let me get that out of the way. There we go. So you can see this is what I was doing. In the previous lesson, it said, hey, just read from Frankenstein.txt, and it was a static entry here. So this one, yeah, so import sys. I see import sys, so the sys exit stuff came in. Yeah, so I hadn't committed. So what you're seeing is the main.py from the previous exercise. I haven't committed the output to to my GitHub. So I'll have to git add and git commit and add those things. And so yeah, that's what came up. This is the stats.py that it gives out. Basically allows get characters dictionary, so it's reading in the entirety of the book. It creates an empty directory, and then it's for every character in the text, which is the entirety of the book. Use lowercase because you want like a character count. So you want A, B, C, D all the way to Z, but you don't want capital A because it's different. So the count would be different if you didn't lower everything there. So, well, hey, Pinat Gamer, thank you. Book.dev, yeah, boot.dev, yeah. So I won't lie, it's not cheap. My company paid for it, which is kind of cool. But it is a gamified system of learning programming, and they have a ton of stuff. The first section you learn is how to code in Python. And then for me, it felt like a huge step back. You learn Linux. And I blew through that one in like a day because that one wasn't difficult at all. I very well adapted to the command line. Some of the questions they ask, like echo hello world and all this stuff. Super easy to do if you're a Linux person. The third one was learn about Git and most of the Git commands, which I went through that one with, it's very much like, Linux commands, but just Git stuff. So you learn how to rebase and merge and all that stuff, and teaches you the underpinnings of Git. There's a community, so they have a Discord. They have a YouTube channel. They also have a podcast. The podcast is called Back End Banter. So they have, interviews and stuff with the folks that run boot.dev. Apparently the guy who founded this was an ex-Netflix person. So, I don't know if that makes any difference with regard to that. I've actually downloaded the podcast, and I'm going to try to start listening to those as well. But there's a lore behind some of this as well. So, Boots is the wizard or the assistant that helps you, and so there's a chapter, and they have events on the leaderboards here. So they had to fight a boss here in chapter 6, and if enough people in the community solved enough solutions, then you got like a 25% XP bonus for every lesson you completed in this. But it goes quite far, and they actually have the last one is how to find a programming job. And so I've been bouncing around a little bit. I actually did some of those. I actually learned a little bit of Docker. I had to stop at this point because it was like some of the stuff that you did in the previous sections was called in this exercise. So I had to stop and not do that one anymore. You learn how to set up and actually build an API from scratch in this course, which I gave them like feedback. I was like, look, I want to learn how to do it without importing, world plus dog, like, Operator was suggesting to do. And so in this course, you'll actually learn how to build an API from scratch. And I was like, wow, that's kick ass. And it's a very, file servers and all that kind of stuff. So my company was cool with it. One of the reasons I wanted to learn the Python stuff was because of AI. So, but yeah, once I finish the BookBot stuff, we're going right into object-oriented programming, which I have no idea about. I know there's a lot of periods between things, I think. But yeah, so I actually started this one after I didn't want to do that last bit in the BookBot until I'd gotten to this point. But yeah, so now I've got 900 XP to get to before I hit my next. So you get things like, if you get 15 correct in a row, you get a thing for that. And there's, the Discord is great. And yeah, it's very interesting, and I have to thank Walt for this, the CPO Parker in our chat here, who had mentioned it. And so yeah, 25,000 people in the community. It's a very active community, and they will answer some questions from a programming point of view, even if it's not related to this. But it's pretty interesting, and it's definitely gamified. So you can go in and learn at your leisure. Some of this stuff is actually free up to a certain point. So if you don't pay for it, you can go up to chapter 4 in the Python course before they actually suggest you pay for it. But even if you don't pay for it, you can still get access to the unit tests and all the things, the lessons. You just don't get access to the solutions and being able to run and submit for XP. So they don't pay me to advertise this. They're not sponsoring me. It's just what I've been doing for the past, now 87 days. So, and then there's a difficulty level on some of this stuff, which is kind of laughable because this is like a 5, but the stuff in the Linux course was like up to like a 7 or something. I'm like, it's just grep, people. So, but yeah, it's just what it is. It's $250 a year, but there is a code, I think, if you can refer people with it. So if you are interested in doing that, it says $348 a year, but there is a code that you can get. I think Walt may have it. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I was like trying to learn how to do it from a book or from a blog post, and yeah, it was just kind of sucking. So you can actually buy it for your team if you want to do that, or just gift a membership, that kind of thing. So, but there is a code out there that you can get that will actually reduce this to $250 a year, for at least for the first year. But yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go because I don't have, I'm old and I've been sitting in this chair for a while and I got a wedgie, and well, that was too much information. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of good stuff that we talked about today. We went through the Socvel quiz, which I got 6 of 10. You can go check that out if you'd like. And oh, yes, thank you, Fix-It. If everybody's cool with that, we can go raid somebody. Anybody have any thoughts on who to raid? Because I don't follow everybody. Sid Heresy is on. Oh, to stop. Ugh, I can't look at myself. Chill Hop Music is always a good one. Maker Deck. Let me see. Who else? Let me see. Let's go see what Sid's doing. He's desoldering things. Ooh, that's always fun. Computer Booter. I don't know who Computer Booter is. The Fast and the Booterus. Okay. New games. Looks like they're desoldering some stuff as well. Okay. Sure, why not? I don't know who they are, but we'll go raid them. Hopefully they're okay. So raid and paste. Cool. Chat. There we go. All right, so we're gonna go raid that person, Computer Booter, and hope you have a good rest of your week. I'll be on Friday, but otherwise, yeah, take care of yourselves, because as I'm fond of saying, you're the only you have. Okay? Take care now. Bye, y'all.